Hello everyone, welcome back to our review of pre-algebra for college algebra, and today we will be continuing simplifying square roots by discussing the quotient rule. So last time we dealt with multiplication square roots such as square root of a, b, and this is equivalent to the square root of a times the square root of b, and this is the product rule. This time we're going to be dealing with square roots of the form of a over b. And again, similar to the product rule, this is equal to the square root of a divided by the square root of b, and here is the quotient rule. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into a few examples we have for today. So first, we have a simple one. We're going to do the square root of 9 divided by the square root of 4. So if we follow the formula from right here exactly as it shows, we can reduce this into the square root of 9 divided by the square root of 4. The square root of 9 is equal to 3, and the square root of 4 is equal to 2, giving us the final answer. Alright, now again, that was a simple example with real numbers, and now let's move on to variables. So here with variables, we can just do the same exact thing. So if we have a to the 5th and b to the 7th, again, using the formula exactly as written, this can be reduced into the square root of a over 5th divided by the square root of b to the 7th. And now we can use the product rule from last time to reduce this to the square root of a to the 4 times square root of a over square root of b times the square root of b to the 6, equaling a squared root a over b cubed root b. Alright, now that we got two simple examples with variables and with real numbers, we're going to move on to two examples that are a bit more complex. Okay, so here we will have the square root of 144 z to the 10th x to the 4th divided by 72 y to the 4th b squared. Okay, so go ahead and take a second to pause the video and write this down and try it for yourself. Alright, now that everyone's had a second to do that, we can now move on with the problem. So the first thing we're going to want to do to see if we can simplify it at all. We have no variables we can simplify since all the variables are different. We could simplify the real numbers, but we're just going to leave this as b for now. So if we use the quotient rule from above, we can write this as 144 z 10th x to the 4th divided by root 72 y to the 4th b squared. Now using the product rule, we have 144 root z to the 10th root x to the 4th over root 72 root y to the 4th root b squared. Now, solving all these square roots, we can get 12 z to the 5th x squared over y squared b. We're going to leave this root 72 here, as this is not a perfect square and has to be reduced. So using the product rule, we can write this as 36 times the square root of 2, and the square root of 36 is 6, giving us 6 root 2. If you want a more in-depth example about how to simplify square roots like this, go back to the previous video. So now that we have the problem down to this form, we can reduce it once more by reducing the real numbers. We have a 12 over a 6, so this can be reduced to just a 2 in the numerator. So we have 2 z to the 5th x squared over the square root of 2 y squared b. And this is the final answer. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the last example for today. And this is going to be another complex example. So we will have the square root of x to the 12th, y to the 14th, z to the 27th, q squared over x to the 15th, z to the 21st, y to the 10th, q squared. Alright, again, take a minute to write this down and solve it for yourself. Alright, so where previously we could not simplify anything inside the square root, we can this time. So first, let's take the x 12th over x 15th, and again, using rules we discussed in previous videos, this is x to the 12th minus 15 equals x to the negative third equals 1 over x cubed. If we move on to the y term, we have y to the 14th over y to the 10th equals y to the 14th minus 10 equals y to the 4th. On to z, we have z over 27 divided by z to the 24th equals z to the 27th minus 21 equals z to the 6th. And then finally, we have q squared over q squared equals q2 minus 2 equals q0 equals 1. Okay, with these reduced exponents, we can move this back into the square root, giving us y to the 4th times z to the 6th over x cubed. Now, we will use the quotient rule, which we've discussed today, to turn this into the square root of y to the 4th times z to the 6th over the square root of x cubed. Using the product rule, this can be written as square root of y to the 4th times the square root of z to the 6th over the square root of x squared times the square root of x. And then finally, by solving these square roots, we have y squared times z cubed over x square root of x. And this is the final answer for the practice problem. Okay, that's going to be all for today's video. Thanks for watching.